The restaurant was one of those trendy downtown places with exposed brick walls and Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Sarah had been excited about this dinner for weeks. Her old college friends were in town for some conference, and she couldn't wait to catch up. I remember watching her get ready that evening, humming to herself as she applied her lipstick, that same shade of coral she'd worn since we were teenagers. 20 years of marriage, and I still loved watching her do the little things. "You sure you want to come?" she'd asked, turning to me with that smile that still made my heart skip. "It might be boring for you, just a bunch of us reminiscing about the old days." "Are you kidding?" I'd replied, wrapping my arms around her from behind. "I love your college stories. Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't drink too much wine and start singing karaoke." She'd laughed, that genuine, throaty laugh I'd fallen in love with back in high school. If someone had told me that night would be the beginning of the end, I would have called them insane. We were solid. We were the couple everyone else looked up to, high school sweethearts who'd made it work through college, careers, and raising 2 kids. We were supposed to be forever. The dinner started perfectly. There were 6 of them from her old dorm: Lisa, who'd become a surgeon, Marcus, now working in tech, Jennifer with her 3 kids, David the lawyer, and Amy, who'd just gotten engaged. The wine flowed freely, and the stories got louder and more animated. I was having a great time, actually. These were good people, and it was nice seeing Sarah so relaxed and happy. Then Marcus, 3 glasses of wine in, started telling a story about their sophomore year. "Remember that time Sarah juggled like 5 guys at once?" He laughed, gesturing wildly with his wine glass. "We used to call her the schedule master. She had it down to a science." The table erupted in laughter. Everyone except me. I felt my smile freeze on my face as I turned to look at Sarah. She was laughing too, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of panic that disappeared so quickly I almost thought I'd imagined it. "What's he talking about?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light, casual. The laughter around the table died down a bit, and I saw Lisa shoot Marcus a warning look. Sarah waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, you know how college was. Everyone was dating around. It was nothing serious. But here's the thing, we'd been together since junior year of high school. We'd made a commitment to stay exclusive when we went to different colleges. She went to State University, 4 hours away, while I stayed local for community college before transferring. We'd had long conversations about trust, about making it work despite the distance. We'd promised each other. We were together then," I said slowly, feeling like the words were coming from someone else's mouth. "Sophomore year, we were together." The silence at the table was deafening. Jennifer suddenly became very interested in her napkin. David cleared his throat and mumbled something about needing to use the restroom. But Marcus, oblivious or maybe just too drunk to care, kept going. "Oh man, I remember this one weekend when 3 different guys showed up to take her out. We had to run interference so they wouldn't run into each other. It was like a sitcom." Amy tried to change the subject, starting to talk loudly about her wedding plans, but I couldn't hear her. All I could hear was the rushing sound in my ears, like standing too close to the ocean. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her, and saw a stranger wearing my wife's face. "We should go," Sarah said quietly, already gathering her purse. "It's getting late." The car ride home was silent for the first 10 minutes. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white, trying to process what I'd just heard. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "5 guys, Sarah, while we were together?" She sighed, that particular sigh she used when she thought I was being dramatic. "It wasn't 5 guys. Marcus exaggerates everything. And it was just a few dates, nothing serious. Everyone was doing it in college. Everyone wasn't in a committed relationship with their high school sweetheart." I shot back. "We had rules. We had promises. Every weekend I didn't go to parties, didn't date anyone else, because I was faithful to you. To us." "You're overreacting," she said, and there was an edge to her voice now. "This was 20 years ago. We were kids. It didn't mean anything." "How many?" I asked, pulling into our driveway. "How many guys, Sarah?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I don't remember exactly." "You don't remember how many people you cheated on me with?" "It wasn't cheating," she exploded, turning to face me fully. "We were in different places, living different lives. It was understood that—" "Understood by who?" I interrupted, because I seemed to remember very different conversations. "I remember you crying when you left for college, making me promise I'd wait for you. I remember the letters, yes. Actual letters where you wrote about how much you loved me and couldn't wait for our future together." I got out of the car and walked into the house, my mind reeling. Our kids were thankfully at their friends' houses for the night, our daughter Emma at a sleepover, our son Jake at his buddies playing video games. I was grateful they weren't here to witness this. Sarah followed me in, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "Can we please just talk about this rationally? You're making a huge deal out of nothing." "Nothing?" I wheeled around to face her. "You want to know what I did sophomore year while you were apparently running a dating service? I worked 2 jobs to save money for our future. I studied my ass off to get good enough grades to transfer to a better school. I drove 4 hours every other weekend to see you, exhausted, running on coffee and determination, because I loved you." "And I loved you too," she shouted. "Those other guys meant nothing. They were just experiences. Everyone experiments in college. Did you sleep with them?" The question hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. Sarah's face went pale, then flushed red. "That's none of your business." "None of my business? You're my wife. We've been together since we were 17. She sat down heavily on the couch, suddenly looking older than her 38 years. "Yes," she whispered. "Some of them." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I literally had to grab the back of a chair to steady myself. "How many is some? Does it matter?" Yes, it matters. Everything matters. Our entire relationship is built on a lie. It's not a lie, she insisted, tears starting to form in her eyes. What we have now, our family, our life, that's all real. That's all true. But it's built on a foundation of deception, I said, my voice breaking. Every anniversary we've celebrated, every time we've renewed our vows, every time I've told our kids about how their parents stayed faithful through the hard times, it's all been a lie. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a scotch with shaking hands. 20 years. 20 years of marriage. 2 kids. A house. A life built together. And now I was finding out it was all constructed on quicksand. I need details, I said, not turning around. I need to know everything. Why torture yourself? Sarah asked softly. Why not just let it go? It was so long ago. Because for 20 years, you've let me live in ignorance. You've let me believe in a version of our history that wasn't true. I deserve to know what actually happened. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Fine. You want to know? Freshman year, I stayed faithful. I was lonely and miserable, but I stayed faithful. Then sophomore year, my roommate convinced me that long-distance relationships in college were unrealistic, that everyone was seeing other people, that it was normal, expected even. And you just believed her? I was 19. I was surrounded by people hooking up, going to parties, living this life I felt like I was missing out on. So yes, I dated. I went to parties. I experienced things. How many men, Sarah? She closed her eyes. Maybe 10, 12, I don't know. Some were just dates. Some were brief flings. None of them lasted more than a few weeks. 12. The number hit me like a physical blow. While I was turning down dates, turning down parties, turning down opportunities because I was committed to her, she was with 12 other men. Did any of them know about me? I asked. No, she admitted. I told everyone I was single, so you didn't just cheat on me. You erased me entirely. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I slammed my glass down on the counter, scotch sloshing over the side. Explain to me how it wasn't exactly like that. I was compartmentalizing. She stood up, pacing now. When I was at school, I was one person. When I came home or when you visited, I was another. I kept those worlds separate. Jekyll and Hyde, I said bitterly. How romantic. Don't be cruel. Cruel? You think I'm being cruel? You cheated on me with a dozen men and hid it for 20 years. But I'm the cruel one? It wasn't cheating in my mind, she insisted. Everyone was doing it. Lisa was seeing 3 guys at once. Jennifer had a different boyfriend every month. It was just college culture. But they weren't in committed relationships. How do you know? Maybe they were. Maybe everyone was doing exactly what I was doing, and we all just had an unspoken agreement not to ask, not to tell. I stared at her. This woman, I thought I knew better than anyone in the world. Did you ever feel guilty? She was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes. When you'd visit and bring me flowers, or when you'd write those long letters about our future. But then I'd go back to my regular life, and it would feel like you were the dream and school was reality. When did it stop? I asked. When did you decide to be faithful? Junior year, when you transferred to state. Suddenly you were there, part of my daily life, and I couldn't maintain both worlds anymore. So it was proximity that stopped you, not love, not commitment, just convenience. That's not fair. None of this is fair, I shouted, then caught myself, lowering my voice. I need some air. I need to think. I walked out to the back deck, the cool night air hitting my face. The stars were out. The same stars we used to look at when we were teenagers, lying on the hood of my car, planning our future. We were going to have 2 kids, check. We were going to have a house with a big backyard, check. We were going to grow old together. That couple everyone envied for still being in love after all those years. I guess that one wasn't happening. Sarah came out after a few minutes, wrapped in the throw blanket from the couch. I know you're hurt. Hurt doesn't begin to cover it. But can't you see that everything since then has been real? 17 years of marriage, 2 beautiful kids, all the memories we've made, doesn't that count for something? Of course it counts, I said, turning to face her. But it's all tainted now. Every memory is colored by this lie. When I think about our wedding day, I'll wonder if you were thinking about those other men. When I remember Emma's birth, I'll wonder if you were wishing one of them was there instead. That's ridiculous. You're the one I married. You're the one I chose, after you'd sampled the buffet. That's disgusting. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, you treated relationships like a taste test while I was saving myself for the main course. We stood there in silence, the weight of 20 years pressing down on us. In the distance, I could hear our neighbor's dog barking. A normal sound from a normal night that felt anything but normal. I need to know, I said finally. Were there any others after we got married? No. She said it quickly. Too quickly. Never. I would never. You would never cheat? Because we've already established that you would and did. That was different. We weren't married then. We were committed. Or at least, I was. The next few days were hell. I moved into the guest room, telling the kids I was having back problems. Emma, 17 and sharp as a tack, knew something was wrong. Are you and Mom okay? She asked me one morning over breakfast. We're working through some things, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. Is it serious? I looked at my daughter, so much like her mother at that age, and felt my heart break a little more. I don't know yet, sweetheart. Sarah and I agreed to try counseling. Our first session was a disaster. The therapist, a soft-spoken woman named Dr. Martinez, asked us to explain what brought us there. My husband is overreacting to some minor indiscretions from 20 years ago, Sarah said, crossing her arms. Minor indiscretions? I laughed bitterly. She cheated on me with a dozen men and hid it for 2 decades. It was college, Sarah said to the therapist, as if that explained everything. Everyone experiments in college. Dr. Martinez looked between us. Sarah, do you understand why your husband feels betrayed? I suppose, but no buts, I interrupted. Do you understand or not? I understand that he's hurt, Sarah said carefully. But I don't understand why he can't see that it was a different time, a different situation. We were kids. Kids who had made adult commitments, I countered. The session went on like that, circular arguments that led nowhere. We scheduled another for the following week, but I wasn't optimistic. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through Sarah's old things in the attic, looking for evidence, for answers, for something that would help me make sense of this. I found a box of college memorabilia, photos, tickets, stubs, programs from shows. And there, in between innocent pictures of dorm life and campus events, I found them. Photos of Sarah with different guys, arms around each other, kissing at parties, couples poses that made my stomach turn. In one photo, she was sitting on some guy's lap at what looked like a fraternity party, both of them laughing at something off camera. In another, she was kissing someone at what appeared to be a Halloween party. She was dressed as an angel, which felt like a cruel irony now. But the one that really got me was a strip of photo booth pictures with a guy I didn't recognize, silly faces in the first 2 frames, then kissing in the last 2, written on the side in her handwriting, Brad and me, Spring Formal 2004, Spring Formal 2004. I remembered that weekend. I'd wanted to visit, but she'd told me she had a huge exam to study for and needed to focus. I'd sent her flowers instead, with a note that said, "Good luck, my love. Can't wait to see you next weekend." I brought the photos down and laid them on the kitchen table. When Sarah saw them, her face went white. "Where did you find those? Does it matter? Here's the evidence of your minor indiscretions. This one's from Spring Formal, the weekend you told me you had to study." She sank into a chair. "I forgot those existed. Convenient. What else did you conveniently forget?" "This is exactly why I never told you," she said, anger flashing in her eyes. "I knew you'd react like this. I knew you'd make it into something bigger than it was." "Bigger than it was?" "Sarah, you lied to me for 20 years. To protect you, to protect us. No, to protect yourself. You were a coward." That word hung between us like a blade. Sarah's face hardened. "Fine, you want the whole truth? I wasn't sure about us. I wasn't sure about spending my entire life with the only person I'd ever been with. So yes, I experimented. I dated. I explored. And you know what? It made me realize that you were the one I wanted. Those other guys? They were nothing compared to you. So I won a competition I didn't know I was in? That's not," she stopped, frustrated. "You're twisting everything." "No, I'm finally seeing everything clearly." The next few weeks were a blur of arguments, counseling sessions, and sleepless nights. Dr. Martinez tried to help us work through it, but every session revealed new layers of betrayal. Like when Sarah admitted that 3 of the guys she'd been with had visited campus while I was there, and she'd introduced them to me as friends from class. I remembered them nice guys who'd shaken my hand and wished me well. The whole time, they knew they'd slept with my girlfriend. "How could you do that?" I asked during one particularly brutal session. "How could you let me shake hands with men who'd been intimate with you?" "I didn't plan it," Sarah said. "They just showed up. What was I supposed to do? Not cheat in the first place would have been a good start." Dr. Martinez tried to redirect us toward healing, toward forgiveness, but I couldn't get past the deception. And then, during our 5th session, Sarah let something else slip. "It's not like I've been perfect throughout our marriage either," she said, then immediately looked like she wanted to take it back. "What does that mean?" I asked, my heart sinking. "Nothing." I misspoke. "No. What does that mean?" "Sarah." She looked at Dr. Martinez, as if seeking permission to lie, but the therapist just waited patiently. "There was flirtation with a coworker 5 years ago, but nothing physical happened." "Define flirtation." "Texts, some emails, lunch dates." "Lunch dates?" "It was innocent. Like college was innocent." "It turned out there had been 2 emotional affairs, one 5 years ago, another 2 years ago. No physical contact," she swore, "but intimate conversations, secret meetings, deleted texts. The foundation of our marriage, already cracked, crumbled entirely." "I think we need to talk about separation," I said finally. Sarah started crying. "Please, don't do this. Think about the kids." "I am thinking about the kids. I'm thinking about what kind of example we're setting. I'm thinking about teaching them that actions have consequences and that trust, once broken, can't always be repaired." The divorce was finalized 6 months later. We kept it as amicable as possible for Emma and Jake's sake. Emma was heading to college herself soon, and yes, the irony wasn't lost on me while Jake had 2 more years of high school. We agreed on joint custody for Jake, though he was old enough to spend most of his time wherever he wanted. Sarah got the house. I got my retirement accounts. It was all very civilized, nothing like the storm raging inside me for months. The kids took it better than expected. Emma pulled me aside one day and said, "Dad, I know Mom hurt you." She told me everything. "She did?" "Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Trust is everything." Those words from my 17-year-old daughter meant more to me than she'll ever know. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment downtown, close enough to be there for the kids, but far enough to start fresh. The first night alone was the hardest. The silence was deafening after 20 years of shared space. But as days turned to weeks, then months, I started to find myself again. The person I was before the betrayal, before the lies, before I'd subsumed my identity into being Sarah's husband. I started dating about 8 months after the separation. Nothing serious at first, just coffee dates and dinners. It was terrifying and exhilarating being back in the dating world at 40. But you know what? It was also honest. These women knew my story, knew my baggage, and chose to spend time with me anyway. No hidden histories, no secret betrayals, just two adults being truthful with each other. Sarah moved on too. Last I heard, she was dating someone from her gym. The kids say he's nice enough. I hope she's honest with him. I hope she learned something from all this. As for me, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. The betrayal still stings sometimes, usually at unexpected moments hearing a song we used to love, driving past the restaurant where we had our first date. But the anger has mostly faded, replaced by a kind of sad wisdom. I loved her. Despite everything, I loved her for more than 20 years. But love without trust is just passion without foundation, and eventually, it all comes tumbling down. The strangest part? I'm grateful to Marcus and his drunken storytelling. Without that dinner, I might have lived my whole life in ignorance, believing in a fairy tale that never really existed. The truth hurt God. Did it hurt, but it also set me free. Free to find someone who values honesty as much as I do. Free to build something real, without secrets buried in the foundation. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Lisa, a woman I've been seeing for the past month. Still on for dinner tonight? I smile and text back, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And I am. Because this time, I'm going in with my eyes wide open, knowing that trust isn't just given, it's earned, maintained, and treasured. Some lessons come cheap. This one cost me 20 years in a marriage. But maybe, just maybe, that's what it took to finally learn it.